Greetings, wandering souls, and welcome to the Black Rabbit Society, a Call of Cthulhu actual play presented by Table Quests.
Audio is working.
Audio is working?
Audio is working.
I love how you still stopped me, though. Like, every other night I get stopped because audio is not working. And now we're like, hey, Tyler.
I knew
Tyler,
it was in the back of your mind. You were like, am I going to have to repeat this?
Tyler, stop.
I'm just
Tyler,
seeing.
Stop talking.
Audio's working. Yeah, I'm just seeing here. I'm just seeing here in the chat. I'm just seeing here.
Go on.
The audio is working.
Yes,
The
working.
audio is working. It's working just fine. It's great.
Yes, it is. If I knew sign
Fantastic.
language, I would sign it, and that would be really funny.
What we like to hear. A word of warning before we go any further. This evening's entertainment is going to feature adults who sometimes use adult language, and we're going to discuss adult themes. Consider this your blanket warning before we go any further. We're going to do things a little bit different order than usual. We're just going to do all of our thanks and stuff up at the top because we have some weird stuff to get into this evening. Doors and Deities is on every Wednesday at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. We also have the very new, very exciting Wish You Were Here, an advanced 5e actual play from N Publishing, where we have our players going after a heist. It's on Saturdays at 7 Eastern Standard Time. You can get to get both of the last episodes from those on our Twitch right now. You can also subscribe and check it out to keep going looking forward. You can find Joel, who plays Professor Herbert Devenald, at StartPlaying.Games / leonidas-games. Music is, as always, from Syrinscape. Maps from Stygian Fox. We've got a lot to do. Last time, the players found out they were inside the bowels of a god. All have decided to try to hit it with a baseball bat. Stuff went really poorly. They've been scattered to the four winds. We're just going to join their various problems already in progress. We're going to start with Mr. Horace Young.
Just notice it's the three doctors tonight. The three of them that there are all
There's
here.
only one doctor.
There is only one. There is only one. But it is the doctor, the professor, and their companion.
Mr. Horace Young, it is the early morning. You have half stumbled out of the Arkham Cemetery. You're at the gates.
Is it enough into the morning that there are people about?
I mean, the part of town you're in appears to be, pretty residential. There's the occasional soul about, but not particularly many. You see the milkman doing his rounds. Up on Kerwin Street, you see a lady who appears to be hauling some clothes to the laundromat.
I'd just like to flag down the milkman, perhaps.
Okay.
Excuse me, sir. I appear to have had quite the evening. Would you mind informing me what the date is?
That's some evening you've had, then, if you're asking what the date is. Have you been down at the university, then?
Not quite.
Jazz has made its way to Arkham, and I don't want you to get caught up in that sort of thing.
Of course not.
Don't make me a credit rating roll, because he's kind of sketched out by the man who stumbled out of the graveyard first thing in the morning.
Credit rating. Let's see if my character sheet will load. There it is.
Let's jump back to you have a milkman who is looking at you. You have rolled very poorly on convincing him you are an upstanding member of society, and instead you look like some sort of ne'er-do-well that has stumbled out of, again, I can't stress this enough, you've stumbled out of a graveyard and walked up the street to a milkman. He goes, it's the 16 viewers? It's It's the 12th.
I'm trying to remember. Was it?
Like the 5th
It
before?
was. Yeah, that's what I thought. It was like the 3rd, the 4th. Does he? I mean, does he seem to be trying to mislead me for some reason?
No, he seems to be trying to, like, get away from...
Okay.
He is trying to end this reaction.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
He is... You look down at yourself, and you see that you're filthy. Your pants and shoes are caked in mud and other foul-smelling things. You're filthy.
Yes, thank you. Have a good day.
Right, you best be getting on, or someone will be calling the cops on you pretty soon.
Sorry about that. I was informed we have no hot water.
First.
Probably the same thing that caused the stream to fail a minute ago.
Yeah.
Truly
Must
be.
the cursed stream.
It's the same creature.
Mm-hmm.
I apologize. What was the...
You best be moving on, or someone will be calling the cops on you pretty soon.
Yes, of course. I will get myself cleaned up. You have nothing to worry about. And I will head on down the road.
Where are you heading?
Let's see. So I am... Is that Peabody Avenue?
Yeah, you're kind of at the corner of Hyde and Peabody.
Yeah. And so let's see. I know that...
The hotel you were staying at is down on near East Main and East Church. That's kind of the downtown areas in the southern core. You know that the university is over on West College, Crane, that area.
Mm-hmm.
The cave is way to the south of town.
Right. I think I'm going to head...
You also know the asylum, for what it's worth, is over on Hazley. And there is the train station.
Yeah. I would think... I don't have a spare set of clothes anywhere, do I? I did just exit the asylum. I don't have any money. What a pickle. I will head to the college. Or did they say where they met? It was Professor Carter, right?
The woman professor?
Yeah.
That was Professor Lucretia Palmer.
Palmer, that's what it was. Palmer. I don't know why I had that written wrong in my notes. Fix that. Would they have said where they met her? Did they? I don't recall.
You met Palmer and Lori in the top floor of the Orne Library.
He was not there.
I wasn't there.
You weren't.
We
there.
hadn't
No.
sprung them yet.
Right. You
Yes.
have.
No,
not
we
the
did
fun.
not. We did not tell you
I didn't think
where we had met them.
I suppose in that case.
We met them at the restaurant across the street from the hotel.
Yeah, I will head to the hotel first. Because we did stop off there, right?
We did.
Yes,
And
you
we
checked in,
had
and you have your own
rooms.
room there.
Do,
you did.
do I have the key to that room on my person?
How about drawing a luck roll as you check your pockets?
So do I find the skeletal human hand or the key first?
Who's to say what you find in your pocket?
Both?
Both is good.
A luck roll gets ya.
Luck roll.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, you find everything you last remember having. for lack of a better term. Your pocket watch, your notebook you were working on, a couple of pens, a handful of loose bills, your wallet, your ID, your key to the hotel, your key to your office back in New York, your key to your apartment back in New York. It occurs to you, you don't know if anyone's paid rent in a while, your apartment. And you find no, that's it. Yeah.
Okay. So yes, I'll stop off at the hotel, and at the front desk, I will ask, has Dr. Fox been in today? Or yesterday? My traveling companion.
He telegrammed and said it'd be some time and he'd be handling the account, but he's not been in for over a week.
Of course. I see. Are the rooms still good?
I don't understand.
The accounts, is everything... Will I be able to stay there?
Your room's paid up. If you have a key, I would have to ask you to leave the lobby.
Yes.
You're upsetting the other guests.
Yes, of course, I understand. Good day. I'll head up to my room. Now, are the keys, is it one key for each room, or is it kind of just they got a lock and the keys are all... it's a standard key, standard lock? Do I have the feeling that it would work in, say, Raymond's room?
It would not work in Raymond's room. It's only going to work for your room.
Well... See, in the room, I guess I'd first, try to clean myself up, scrub my clothes down the best I'm able. And then would there be, a robe or something in the bathroom?
Not that nice of a hotel.
Yeah, drat.
You've got a towel, and you are very much on the raggedy end right now.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, just spend a little time cleaning up as I'm able. And then, oh dear. This is quite a situation.
We can leave you to ponder and perhaps wash your clothes in the bathtub. We'll jump over to Dr. Raymond Fox. Dr. Raymond Fox.
Yes.
There should be a part on your character sheet.
Yes.
I believe it's on the... Let me just double check that I've got the precise name of the section properly. Yes, under backstory.
Backstory, check.
Under injuries and scars.
Injuries and scars. Do edit mode.
Yeah. You have an opium addiction.
Ah, yes. Charming. Excellent. I was wondering when I was going to pick something like that up.
You sort of resurface again. Is that from Syrinscape or someone's house?
I believe that is my younger brother playing
Fantastic.
with our dog.
Okay, I was just making sure it was in Syrinscape. I was like, whoa, oh!
You resurface in a fight!
You kind of resurface in a You're in a train car, a well-appointed train car. It's nice, very luxe. You have, and you can add this to your items, but you've got this silver accented bone long pipe with you.
Ah, yes.
And you kind of come to, there's about half a dozen people in the train car with you. And Raymond, what's your law score?
My law score is base, I'm almost positive.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5.
5. All right.
I've never needed to know.
Yeah. I'm gonna make an education roll.
Okay.
Before I kind of go into the descriptions. Not think education, intelligence.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this will be great. Give me intelligence as well, and we'll go through the whole thing.
All right. Let's see.
Fantastic.
Okay. Yeah.
You have your wits about you decently, all things considered. You're feeling fantastic.
Yeah.
Just great. This is very obviously a well-appointed, absolutely gorgeous private car. There's levels of wealth above and beyond yours, and you're aware of that, and that's just the way life is. This is from someone near those top echelons.
Oh, I've got in good. Interesting.
Throughout the entire car, there is a haze. It's a combination of various smokes and odors, and you can catch the hint of body sweat. There's a pungent, herbaceous, almost slightly piney, almost slightly almost like a very slight smell of like a skunk or something in the air. There is the scent of incense and spices and all sorts of stuff in the air. There's just bottles of liquor throughout the car. And there's half a dozen people in various states of lethargy and undress. You are kind of you appear to be in I don't want to call it a nest, but you have a chaise that you have propped up some pillows, and you have a couple of jackets. At least 2 of those jackets aren't yours. There's a heavy fur of some sort of big animal that you have draped over you, and whatever was in your pipe is well expended, leaving just ash and burned remains behind.
Oh, well, me? I've got to stop meeting me like this. Raymond will kind of, as the fog starts to clear, sit up and look around and take in the truly decadent surroundings he's in, and the well-appointed seating arrangements, and, well, generally how luxury this is, and kind of try and survey the 6-ish people who are also in the car to see if any of them are in any way lucid or coherent. Do any of them look awake at all?
No one looks lucid per se. You can make a luck check to see if anyone is capable of engaging in an open conversation of any kind.
I think instead what I'm going to do is kind of get up and brush myself off a little bit and head in a direction. Well, yes. one
Well,
of
you
the
can look out the window and determine where the front of the train
Yes.
is and the back.
yes,
That's
I'll
not
do
a problem.
that. I will look out the window. Are we moving?
Oh yes.
Are we moving fast? Okay.
You're moving an average train speed.
All right.
You do have a moment of kind of vertigo and like the world kind of shifting, looking out, and you're like, oh, maybe not staring out the window at time.
Not after whatever I've just done to myself. And Raymond will turn and proceed in the same direction along the train as it is traveling, towards the front, theoretically.
Towards the front of the train.
Yeah.
You open the door to between cars, and the outside, the fresh air of New England and the smell of salt and the smell of the woodlands hits you like a slap in the face.
Racing.
And you head to the next one. It appears to be a dining car. And you see there's a server of some sort in a tuxedo. Obviously, you're in the first class part of the train, who's bustling about. And very quickly, you see a young, pitch black hair, slicked back man in a crushed velvet smoking jacket, silk cravat. He has a unlit cigarette in one of the long, you're guessing it's ivory handles, and he goes, "Foxy, you've emerged."
Such as I am, and I will rack my brain for a name. Do I remember this man's name?
Roll me an intelligence.
Oh.
This is Winston. Excuse me. This is Winston Appleworth, Esquire.
Winston, I have emerged from, well, whatever the hell you've got going on back in that car. Good God, man. How long has
Whatever I had, you brought more than your fair share of chaos. Come, sit. Help yourself to some libations and other earthly desires. I'm sure you have all sorts of fun things to share yet, but the body must needs first.
Yes, absolutely. And I'll wave the waiter over, and I'll say, I need a pint of coffee, I need a pint of beer, I need a pint of ice water, and, well, and a club sandwich.
Very good, sir. He hides away, and Appleworth goes, takes his coffee, and you can catch the pungent smell of whiskey coming off of his coffee. He goes, "Good for you, Fox. It's always good to see someone who's right back into the fight."
Well, yes, I don't believe in letting the dust gather when I'm not, well, gathering daisies, I suppose. Listen, Winston, you know what kind of business I get up to. Do you happen to have the date?
The date? Are you okay, Foxy?
I'm just trying to figure out how long I've been down for, is all.
It's the 12th, Foxy. You are quite insistent. We make it to Arkham for the 13th.
And I'm sure that I was right at the time. That's where we're headed, I presume.
Well, yes, you've
Excellent.
been... You... Oh, Foxy, how...
Which, the truth be told, I've been, well, a little bit here and a little bit there, as it were.
Foxy, I hope this isn't you just trying to backstab. Feel you haven't oversold your hand. We've got all sorts of people on the way to Arkham on your recommendation.
Ah, yes, I'm sure that I back my play. My real question is, what is it that I'm doing?
What is it you're...
Let me put it another way, Winston. What is it that you understand of the plan, of things that are going to come to pass?
Foxy, you've promised us wonders. And I must say, we wouldn't have all this if you hadn't shown off quite a bit. Is this about money?
No. I can safely say it's not that.
Well, I need to ask then, what's with the act?
Well, Winston, and I want to size him up and meet his gaze and trying to understand how close I am with this man. Read his body language, see what kind of history we have together, just from how familiar we are with each other.
Give me a psychology roll.
Yeah, that is something I am capable of doing.
Oh, you've promised him something big. You've promised him something quite big. He has put a lot of money and resources and clout into this.
Winston, forgive me. I stumbled in here in search of exactly these things. As the waiter brings up the club sandwich and the various liquids. Essentially, the moment I woke up, and I'm not quite myself. Let me get through this, and I'll put these fears to rest. And then Raymond is going to tuck into his half gallon of various liquids and sandwich. And as he eats, he's going to think to himself, I've promised the world and convinced Winston Applesworth? Multiple Applesworth? Singular Appleworth. All right. Promised Appleworth a show, and he's pulled out the stops here to get a train. What is it that I've demonstrated? What is it that I've promised him? And as he's eating, he's gonna engage Winston in a little bit of light conversation. How have things been? Appleworth? All the old games still playing?
The old game's still playing. Are you feeling all right, Foxy?
In a word, no. But by the time we get to Arkham, I'll be right as rain.
Foxy.
Yes.
If I must be candid,
Please.
what you demonstrated at that little shop in Chinatown, anyone would have thought that was a once-in-a-lifetime happenstance. And then to repeat it and supersede it in my home, that's nothing entirely. And then to promise something far more up in Arkham. I hope you understand how embarrassed I would look and and I would be if things wouldn't come together.
I think I have a proper understanding of how embarrassed you would be. It would be, well, my understanding of the situation, it would be roughly on par with or greater than, by orders of magnitude, with the level of embarrassment that I would be feeling if I were unable to present the promised miracles.
Just so. So now I have to ask you, when we get to Arkham, where are you planning a lot of us going?
It's not time for that particular secret to be revealed yet, Winston. Please, we do have a show to run. Yes, I'm beginning to feel more of myself coming back to me. That, regardless, let me say that when we get to Arkham, I shall reveal the next step in our operation, and, well, the rest will follow from there.
Very good, Foxy. I'd hate to make you the embarrassment of the New York set.
Not nearly so much as I would hate it. Now, full disclosure, Appleworth, I do have some preparations to be checking on, but I'll stop by again for perhaps dinner. We'll have a chat, and Raymond will bid him adieu and continue on forwards in the train.
Forward in the train.
He's gonna stop for a second in between the two cars and just like stand buffeted by the New England cold wind and just kind of, okay.
Roll me a sanity.
But I don't have very much of that.
Yeah. So the buffeting air and the cold, and it triggers a flashback. And do you remember, through the haze of everything you've put in your body over the last week, you remember sitting around a table, a fancy table, in sort of fancy environments, and you remember Appleworth being there, and you remember one or two of the faces that you just saw unconscious being there, and some other people, and you were leading them in a seance or something, and you remember the woman you saw on stage stepping out of the shadows from around the table. And you remember her saying words. And it hurts you to think about the words she said. But everyone seemed very impressed. And then she faded away, and there was a lot of applause. Do you want to concentrate on the words she said and try to figure out what they were?
Yes.
That's gonna be a sanity roll and an intelligence roll.
First it's sanity, and it's a fail, and intelligence, and it's success?
Cool. Are you gonna spend anything on either of those or push either of those?
Is sanity a pushable thing? Or in this context it is?
In this context it
Okay.
is, because you're not losing sanity.
Yeah.
You're trying to...
Then I will push. I will push it, and I will push by trying to get greater exposure to the buffeting wind that I think is the source of this clarity. It's driving the vapors, the haze from my mind. So I need more wind So I'll kind of half climb up and stick my head up above the edge of the train car
Ooh,
gap.
Works for me. Fantastic.
Oh no.
Okay. We're gonna have a few things happen for you. First, I don't know if you've noticed, but if you look at your character sheet, your magic points are at 1.
Oh no. I hadn't noticed. They
So that's the
are.
thing.
Okay.
Next up is the words and the sounds and the syllables she's saying and she's making are strange and guttural. And you can tell that she does not care about anyone else at the table but you. She is trying to give you words and give you the capacity to do and say certain things. So you're going to actually add the spell to your character sheet, Contact Dreamer.
Do you want to go through the MP, sanity, other casting time, all that now or later?
Oh, you don't know what it does yet.
Ah.
You don't know shit about it.
I know that I barely have any MP left.
Yeah.
Cool.
And we'll deal with that failed sanity roll later.
Great.
More opium for me, please.
And I hear a dog crying, so I need to do a quick intermission. If you all want to share theories and stuff, I will be right back.
Holy crap, what did you get yourself into?
I'm bringing them to go do a seance in the Eats People cave. Like, I'm just gonna sacrifice a bunch of the, like, rich and wealthy elite of New York to a cool cave we found.
Okay. That sounds
It's a plan.
really diabolical. Not the direction that I would think that Raymond would go, but maybe the opium.
The opium, yeah.
Is enough to.
Oh, that damn opium.
Oh my god.
I mean, I don't know how to get magic points back.
Where are they on the character sheet?
They
They
are.
should be right next to, or right underneath health. So you have hit points,
okay.
magic
Yep.
points, sanity.
There they are. Okay. Okay.
I've got a lot of those, and all I can do with them is detect a fold.
I was just thinking, like, we got this spell and we never got to use it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you.
But we could have used it. We just chose not. We just chose a different path that involved burning a house down.
Right.
I mean,
right.
could have done it in the cave too.
That's possible, actually. Yeah.
Uh-oh, Tyler's smiling
we could
like,
still
oops.
do it in the cave.
I mean, y'all want to meet up in the cave?
I was thinking about it.
My apologies. I had a dog who had lost 3 toys under the couch, and that was terrifying.
Oh, poor Pippi.
He was like, they're all stuck, and I'm like, yeah, they're all. So, you also had a failed sanity roll in there, which we're going to deal with later.
Yes. Cool. Having pushed the limits of his psyche as far as it can stretch for the moment, he'll drop down from the train car back onto the platform in between and proceed once more forward to see what else is on this train.
So meander forward on the train, and the next car up is, it looks like it's mostly, for lack of a better term, logistics cars. There's kind of a long hallway, and then there's a kitchen, there's some other places for the staff. You kind of move forward to the train, and the rest of the train looks relatively normal. It appears to be a pretty normal train, and as you kind of meander your way forward, you start to recognize the surrounding terrain and realize that you are getting close to and approaching Arkham again. Professor Herbert Devenant.
Yes.
You have left Olive and Tommy in the hospital. Olive is currently non-responsive, and Tommy is refusing to leave her side. You've asked around, and you've kind of seen that it is the 12th. So it's been over a week. And my guess is you're looking for Lori.
Quite right.
So, you leave the hospital.
I would have been spending much of my time looking for her for the past week in any event. I've had no success whatsoever.
No. I should clarify. Tommy dragged you back to the hospital in the car to
Yes.
check on Olive. The two of you bustled in. He is taken out. Like, you have found out you were in the cave for 9 days. Or you've been missing for 9 days.
Oh.
It's the 12th for you, too.
But to be clear, it is the morning of the 12th. And we escaped the cave the previous evening.
/ earlier this morning, yes.
Right. Understood. I have an address. I will be finding my way there immediately. Is there a taxi immediately available as I exit the hospital?
The hospital's on West Church, which I'm just flipping back. And the address you have is just down the street. It's 17. It's not a long walk.
Excellent. Then I will walk through the bracing fall morning air until I locate the building in question.
You find a older Queen Anne style construction that from the mailboxes and other details, it looks like it's been redone into a boarding house of some sort. You knock on the door and deal with the matron and quickly are able to get contact Lori, who comes bustling down the stairs and goes, "Papa!
Dolores.
Wait, are you okay? Are you okay? Where have you been? What happened?
I'm not rightly certain, child. Are you all right?
Am I all right? I'm fine. What happened to you?
Can we find somewhere a little bit more private to discuss?
Of course. And ma'am, if we could just have the salon for a little bit, it would be okay. Yes, of course. And she deals with that. And
Where is Professor Palmer?
she's teaching a course right now. She still has obligations.
Of course. I will need to speak with her as well, urgently. How far away is Miskatonic from here, Lori?
It's up the block. It's not particularly far.
All right, come. Never mind the place. Let's walk, please. Put your coat on.
You've been gone for over a week. What happened? You went in the cave and you never came out.
Though I was unaware of that fact until early this morning, I am very much aware of it now, and I will explain what I can. But come, we can speak as we walk.
I'm coming. We're going, yes. Where are your... are they friends? Compatriots?
I might count them friends. I'm not sure they would all count me the same. And as to where each of them may be at this moment in time, I can only, with any degree of certainty, speak to two who are in the hospital.
What happened?
Something dark, something evil is residing in that cave. And
Papa, what? Did you leave from the cave?
yes,
The sun rose and we had to go. You made us promise not to go in, and we had set up,
good girl.
and we had to go, and we arranged for a student to come watch it, and the cave's gone, Papa.
Gone? How do you mean?
We went back. We went to go check in to look for you. We had left a note. We had left... the cave's gone.
Left a... What do you mean you left a note?
We'd hiked back up to where it was. We didn't want to involve too many people. We didn't want to get too much involved because things have been so damned queer, and we left. We couldn't very well sit around waiting. We're trying to prepare, trying to do research on what to do. So we had left. We bought a couple of wooden stakes, and a 3 or 4 foot tall one, and we put a sign out front where the cave was. And then one morning we went to check, the cave was gone.
There is some form of jiggery-pokery going on here that I cannot begin to explain. But I give you my word that I am speaking the truth. I don't have a screw loose here. I'm not off my trolley.
I believe you. Caves don't just very well disappear. I'm not saying you're lying. I'm
Spiritual power, faith. The faith of a mustard seed can move a mountain, perhaps. That faith can be used by other beings as well.
Well, we're on the campus now, Papa. Would you mind, particularly if she's teaching class right now?
Where is she teaching?
She's over there in the chambers building.
Excellent.
I can pop in and get her out.
Whoop.
Okay.
I'm gonna go to the building, and are there windows on the doors?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna start looking through until I see her class.
Yeah, you see her in the lecture hall. Look, she has about 18 students in there.
I will fling the door open.
Okay.
Professor Palmer! My apologies, students. My apologies.
What?
I need to speak with you on an urgent matter of inter-university business. Immediately.
Class dismissed. Everyone can go. We'll deal with questions and such later. Professor Devenald, I'm so sorry. Of course, do you want to head to my office or
Where's the device?
It's disassembled in my office.
There then. There.
Okay. Wait, yes, Jeremy. Later. We'll do it later. And a lot of you head up to the third story of the chambers building. She brings you into a small, cramped office. You can see boxes of what looks like machinery for the device and failed versions of it. There's various pieces of brass and metal and lenses. There's a bunch of things. There's a chalkboard. It shows, Professor General, are you all right?
Not remotely. Not even a little bit. Have you been using this to try to find any sign of us in the period of time in which we have apparently been missing?
Yes.
Or the cave, which has apparently also completely removed itself from reality?
Yes.
And?
I mean, the findings are complex. There was a after the cave disappeared, there were some resonant aspects to the color and the frequency that you all left behind, and it was fading, and then it eventually went away. So I don't, we didn't know what to do. I was doing research. I was looking into what to do about it and trying to find it, and then we started to see flickerings of the same color, frequency, whatever you want to call it, of you and your compatriots. We were seeing flickers in the night sky and elsewhere, pinpricks, moments of them, and I was trying to look into them and I couldn't find a pattern, and then you're here.
When did this happen? When did you see these signs?
Well, our observations during the day are more difficult, so we're able to find.
Of course.
With the cave disappeared on the 7th, and the flickerings, we saw them on the 8th, the 9th, the 11th, and now
Not
we're
on
here.
the 10th.
No.
Not on the 10th. The 11th, last evening.
Yes, there was one over by the graveyard,
a singular.
Well, there was a particularly intense flickering vision of it, if you will.
And did you think to plot out the locations of the others on the previous evenings?
I attempted to. Most of them were too far away.
How far is too far? I don't have a strong enough grasp of the limitations of your device. How accurately can you?
I mean, much like any sort of telescope or anything, at some point, the curvature of the Earth, refraction of other interfering light and stuff becomes difficult, but at least tens of miles, if not hundreds. I'm drinking flickers of them and sights. There were all sorts of oddities that were I tried to map them. I tried to figure out some sort of pattern to them. I hadn't found anything as of yet.
Direction?
Direction? All sorts of directions.
time? Did they all coincide at a particular time of the evening?
No, on each of those nights, the 8th, the 9th, even the 11th, there were other flickerings elsewhere. The 11th just had a particularly violent, prominent one.
I see. And did that cave have a particular residence of its own that you were able to trace in any way after we entered it, after it vanished?
Well, it had one quite similar to yours, and on the 7th we couldn't find the entrance, but the residence was still there. But far be it for me to try to grab mining tools and dynamite or anything to go into it. And that residence continued on the 8th and the 9th, but fading each time. And I don't know how much you'd entertain my own theories, but it's almost as though it had shifted sideways to some sort of other.
It folded.
Oh, okay.
It folded. But did it fold to another place or another time or both?
I don't know. What do you mean?
All right, well, I suppose I at the very least owe you the entire explanation of what we have been experiencing these past months. There was a phenomenon. I am still leaning heavily toward classifying it as demonic in some way, though it transcends a basic understanding of the demonic from any sort of Judeo-Christian standpoint.
Oh, okay.
There was a man attempting to unravel and control the fabric of reality on the island of Manhattan. In his efforts, though you will find it difficult to find any evidence that what I say is true, pieces of the city vanished permanently. All of those residing or standing there in the moments of their dissolvement from reality also ceasing to exist. Myself and my companions of crisis, if nothing else, were very nearly caught up in one such moment of dissolution.
Your companions, these are the ones that, when we looked through the lens, had the resonant effect.
Precisely.
Okay.
I believe that resonance has to do very exactly with our near escape and subsequent proximity to such phenomena within the city some 3 months prior. Horrific things occurred. Things that my mind has difficulty still cordoning off in a way that I can understand them. But the one constant that we as a group were able to discern is that the particular strings that this insane individual continued to pull at were adjusting both space and time in such a way as to cause them to fold over onto each other. In effect, cutting off that moment in reality from the rest of us. And apparently allowing the individual in question to use those folds to travel about in some way through both time and distance.
And you had said the cave disappearing was just a fold? Is that what your
that is my theory. It fits the criteria as I understand them. I have a book at the hotel. Oh. By God, I don't know if I even have a room at the hotel any longer. What would they have done with my things if we never came to pick them up?
Wait,
Did you happen to go to the hotel, Lori?
What?
Did you gather my belongings?
Well, I did. They said your room was paid up and I couldn't get access to it as a result. I'd have to involve the sheriff, and I didn't.
The room was paid.
Yes.
For over a week.
Yes, apparently someone, some Dr. Fox had paid for it. I think that's one of your compatriots.
It is, but I'm quite certain he didn't pay for that many days. We had no expectation of being here this long.
I don't know what to tell you.
No, I'm not expecting you to have the answers. There are just so many questions. We should gather my belongings. There is a mathematical tome that I am in possession of, which may help to, at the very least, understand or explain or expand upon the theories that you've already put in place, Professor. And it's a headache inducer, but I'm perfectly willing to allow you access to it.
I mean, of course, it's not often we see someone disappear in caves, to say nothing, but it's not often we see someone come back from the dead. I fully understand, and
I at no point was I dead. I have not perished. I did not move on to that great light in the sky. I'm not sure what you mean.
No, I mean, to be perfectly frank, it you went into a cave that disappeared. Forgive us for making horrible suppositions.
Here is the thing. That cave was there last night. I exited it late last evening, perhaps early this morning. Myself, Mr. Cole, and young Olive, who lost something in the cave and has not yet awoken. We all exited the cave last evening, and it was there as we left it, Yeah, Mr. Fox's automobile was there as well, and Mr. Fox and Mr. Young, sadly not. But the cave was there. The cave was there. And you said last evening you saw residents in the cemetery?
Yes. Well, yes.
But no other, anywhere in the region?
Nothing nearly so sustained. Flickers, glimpses at most.
Were those flickers or glimpses in the region that the cave should be at the very least? Can we draw that correlation?
Not that we saw. I mean, it's also worth noting we couldn't be watching perpetually.
Of course.
But
Of course. I mean...
when did you... When to try to make at least one deduction, when did you manage to escape?
Beyond late in the night, I can't be certain.
Could it have been the early morning?
It was still dark, but certainly.
By early morning, I mean 2, 3.
Yes, quite possibly.
There was... We did see something around that region at the time. It was diffuse. It was not the same. So we thought nothing of it, but that very well could have been it.
I see. Mysteries and questions. We have in plenty. Answers not nearly as prolific. I apologize, Professor Palmer, for interrupting your course. I'm sure you understand the urgency.
No, of course. This was something just being dealt with immediately.
Two of my companions are still missing. And one of them is entirely catatonic. And I'm not sure if you consider yourself a woman of faith or otherwise, but I very much am a believer in God and his counterpart, and if ever I saw anything that qualified as from that dark realm below, whatever was inhabiting that cave qualifies. I am loath to leave my companions to whatever fate they find themselves in, and any assistance that you can provide in finding them and recovering them, I would be greatly in your debt for.
Of course. I mean, you said let's investigate the hotel and get the book first. It seems to me this is a more than adequate time to get our wits about us and prepare for whatever comes next.
Agreed. Do you happen to have an automobile?
Are you not merely at the Royal?
Yes, I believe I am. Is it walking distance?
It's only a few blocks.
Oh, excellent then. I'm sorry, I don't know my way around Arkham very well yet.
Of course, and Lord, Papa, I mean, we can, she wraps her arm and goes, we'll get this sorted, we'll get this figured out.
Yes, Laurie, of course. I'm sorry for frightening you these past days.
I think nothing of it. It's obviously not you do it on purpose or any such. It's not like you can make caves disappear.
Ha ha. Perhaps with enough faith. Perhaps with enough faith. We should be off.
Of course, of course. Dr. Raymond Fox.
Yes.
The train pulls into the Arkham station. You've separated yourself from Appleworth and his menagerie of hangers-on as you're further up the train. What's your next move?
I will make my way back to them and gather them all up, instructing them to come with me. We are going to prepare for just a few moments of entertainment and relaxation in this quaint little university town, while I prepare to make some preparations. And I'm going to bring them to was it Sue's? The restaurant across the street? That kind of extremely dive bar and restaurant that we were eating at when Professor Palmer found us.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Then I'll kind of walk them there and keep up a kind of light and tension-raising line of chatter as this is the most darling little hole in the wall you've ever seen. They put truth to the term greasy spoon. They're simply a delight. And then I'll lead them there, and I'll have a word with whoever is waiting tables at the moment. It's like this group. Look at them. Look at me. Look at them. If they have a good time here, they're going to tip well. And if they don't, I will. Just keep them busy for an hour or two. I'll be back, and I'll slide the person a $10 bill.
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow.
You have them in your pocket.
Perfect. Mission accomplished. And I'm going to cut across the street to the hotel room.
Excellent. So we have the three of our investigators this evening heading towards the Royal Arkham. And that's going to be a great spot for us to grab the intermission. We're at 9:30. If you're really enjoying this, it'd be awesome if you subscribe. Use your Amazon Prime subscription if you got it. Be awesome. Share with your friends. Let them know. Give us feedback, because letting us know what we're doing good and what we're not doing good is always awesome. It helps us improve. And we'll see you all after the break.
Yes, indeed.
Hey! We're back, Wandering Souls. I don't know what Drew said. Remote.
Well, you were like skipping. I had to fix the video playback.
Oh, okay. I mean, that makes sense.
The VHS got frozen.
Look,
Thank you
I'm
for
a really
unpausing the
old
VCS.
CD. I'm one of those old laser discs, and I'm pocked and pitted. So sometimes the laser's like, I don't know what I'm looking for here. Welcome back to Black Rabbit Society. No, I mean like the fake skipping. Yeah, there we go. There we go. And we are just going to jump right back into it as we have Professor Herbert Devenall, Dr. Raymond Fox, and Mr. Horace Young all converging upon the Royal Arkham Hotel.
Should we have Syrinscape audio at this point, Tyler?
We should. Do you not hear it?
I do not hear anything.
No. That might be me.
There it goes.
There we go. As Mr. Horace Young, you hear a couple of sets of voices and footsteps in the hallway. You hear Dr. Raymond Fox, Professor Herbert Devenald, meeting up in the hallway outside your room. You pop out, I'm guessing still in towel, as your clothes are hanging to dry, having been hand washed, and hanging near the window. There's also Professor Lucretia Palmer and Lori there as well.
Raymond. Herbert.
Mr. Young? Dr. Fox?
Horace, Professor.
What on God's earth are you two doing here?
I'm not exactly sure.
How are you here?
Train.
I walked from the cemetery.
The
It's a long
cemetery.
story.
A train?
Yes. From Brooklyn.
Yes, you weren't gone from Arkham for some time. They said you telegrammed in saying to keep the accounts up on the rooms.
How long
No?
have you been out?
Well, it's a little bit fuzzy, the timeline exactly. I've lost time here and there through mundane methods. But I don't know, perhaps 6 days or so?
6
Is
days.
he hiding something?
Several things, Professor, I promise.
Yes. You've been gone. You've been out of that cursed cave for 6 days, you think.
Ish. Yes.
You may want to revise that figure slightly.
Oh, goodness.
It's been more to the order of 9 days, to my recollection.
You've been out of the cave for 9 days, Mr. Young.
No, I have been out of the cave a few hours.
Ah,
Well, that is a bit fuzzy in and of itself.
but that tracks a bit more closely to my experience.
Oh, good.
Do we want to do this in the hallway?
No,
Mr.
Can we adjourn to my room?
Yes, of course.
Mr. Dr. Fox, Professor Devil, do you have some clothes potentially for Mr. Young?
Yes, let's see. Horace, what size are you?
Like, would he fit in the little old man's clothes? Because I'm happy to give him a 40 years outdated suit if he would
let's
like
see.
to wear
His
it.
Size is 45. I don't know how
Guess
that
what,
works over to
Professor?
clothing sizes.
Professor, you're bigger than him.
Professor, what size are you?
I have a size of 50, but a strength and a con of 20. So I'm not really sure what that means.
Means you're scrawny, but you still have like a big bone. You have a decent sized bone before.
Oh,
That-
that does
Okay.
remind me, while we're on
Okay.
that point, have my dexterity and strength gone
yes, they've returned
Back?
what they were.
okay? I completely didn't think of that.
So I mean, I'm probably wearing suits that fit me when I was in much better shape, much more fit and young, anyway. Because I don't think he would have cared enough to have his suits retailored. So I probably have something that would work for
Yeah.
you.
At least a shirt and slacks that be able to fit
Mhm.
around him. May not fit great, but he'd be covered.
Mhm.
Very well, if it makes you more comfortable.
It would.
You are quite inappropriate, Mr. Young.
My apologies.
That does remind me, before we had gone into the cave, I had intended to stop by a tailor's for you and for Tommy, which, oh my god, where's Tommy and Olive? Where are they?
At the hospital.
And their condition, their prognosis?
Mr. Cole is well enough. Olive is entirely catatonic.
Oh,
Yes, after you
is
took leave of us, she was involved in an event that Well, knocked her out, to use common parlance.
I think I may have a way of waking her.
What do you mean?
Well, I've been very busy in the time since last we saw each other. I've corralled a group of the wealthy and beautiful of New York and convinced them to take the train here
New York.
to New England, and well, we're going to go and try and wake Olive up. I think is what is my plan now.
Let's not put the cart before the horse. We have much to discuss.
Yeah.
Professor, here is the book that I was referencing in your offices, and I am going to hand over to her my copy of A Cote de Monde.
Are you giving it to her to read over?
Yes.
Now, is that the copy that we got from...
That was the one
house?
that was in the library in the house, yes.
Okay. So that's going to have my handwriting in it. That's going to be fun to explain.
Yes.
Although she hasn't seen my handwriting.
No.
I don't need to worry about that yet.
And I've studied it quite thoroughly, so I know your handwriting.
Mm-hmm.
But I assume the keeper would have told me if things had changed after the moments of that event, rather than them being locked in place from that point onward. Is that a safe assumption, Tyler?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, I will give her the book.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Raymond, you disappeared. You vanished. Where did you go? How did you end up in Brooklyn, of all places? And how did you manage to do that 6 days prior to Mr. Young, myself, Mr. Cole, and Olive departing from a cave which apparently doesn't exist any longer?
The cave's not there. Oh, let me answer those questions in, I suppose, reverse order. 1, 6 days. Let me be completely clear. That is pure speculation. As I said, I'm not exactly sure how much time has passed since my disappearance in the cave. How did I end up in Brooklyn? No earthly idea. But I do apparently have new abilities. When I disappeared in the cave, I found myself thrust into a setting, the staging of a play where but the dialogue was it flowed through me, and the lines of the other people, and it all seemed to click. And this is perhaps the first time I've really stopped to contemplate what exactly did happen after my disappearance. I saw some things and spoke to some people. At least they appeared people. They were masked and costumed, and then blackness, darkness, void, and then a waking up again, and more talking and more happenings, and then void again, and then I'm waking up in Chinatown in Brooklyn, and I get up and I walk out to look about and get my bearings, and then it's fuzzy once again, and then I have a memory of holding a seance with my new and or old friends from high society, and well, not I'm not exactly sure why or how even, but I seem to have done something that's impressed them quite a bit, and well, they followed me here to Arkham. So I figure I'm in a bit of a bind. Not sure exactly what it is I promised them, but I think if we hold a séance and can manage to wake Olive up during it, then that will perhaps be something akin to the miracle that I promised. I was going to bring them to the cave just to show them and freak them out a little bit, but if it's not there, I'm not sure what to do about that.
If I may, was your experiences of leaving the cave all different then?
I'm not certain that I ever left.
I most certainly left after climbing 777 stairs.
What?
Mr. Horace Young, you may make a mythos roll at that.
Lovely.
Mr. Young, from your reading into the mythos and the like, you have found for lack of better terms, either a space between or a binding space. So you have all these different versions of reality that you've seen. You have all these different takes on what things could and would be. The things that the Leviathans are swimming through. If that's all the water, some of the reading you've done suggests that there is kind of still a sea floor, to extend the metaphor, which is this other space that has different rules. And several of the things you've read are that many people have mentioned that there are 777 stairs to get there, and it is this other space that is, for lack of a better term, more adjacent to other places.
Okay, so it's just make sure I've got everything clear. The space that the Leviathans are in is the between space between worlds.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is then a place that is next to all places?
Kind of. Yeah. Yeah.
So it would be...
Or at least it's a place that is easier to see and access all spaces from.
Gotcha. It is
To
equally
extend the
distant
metaphor
from...
Of if the Leviathans are fish or whales.
It's a universal wormhole.
Sure.
The lands between 777 steps. A place easier to reach from everywhere than it is from nowhere.
What are you going on about, Mr. Young?
I'm not entirely certain, but I have done reading into the sorts of places or non-places that the Leviathan might be from. It is as if it is a place which is equidistant to all other places. The anchor, the bind of the space between worlds. As I said, the place to which Thomas and myself were taken at the Von Cartwright Manor was one such place that is nearby enough to our own space. This is the place that somehow you and I and Raymond may have reached is adjacent to all of them. Easy to reach, yet, of course, locked away. And yet somehow we have unlocked that door. Or the cave did.
Or something inside the cave did.
Precisely.
Were
I
they
still have the lens, right? The lenses?
You
Sorry?
do.
I do, okay.
You do.
You know what they say about those who don't learn from history? I'm just gonna fiddle with the lenses and thoughtfully. Whoops.
Mr. Young, be careful with those.
I am aware. Professor Devenold, do you recall at the Von Cartwright Manor when we were digging through the works in the library, we found a means of detecting faults?
Yes, some strange sort of combining of ritual and mathematics.
Precisely. If what we have gone through is of a similar type, but of a different matter, it may still be that this ritual will tell us something. I am hesitant to look through the lenses again, given what happened the last time I did so. By the way, do I remember what happened? Do I remember seeing anything when I did that? Because the triggering point of me teleporting away was looking through the lens. Do I remember seeing anything through the lens before I blacked out and
Roll me
was
a
somewhere
sanity.
else? Awesome. I love hearing that. Nope.
Fantastic. Love it. Yes. You start to think back on it. And do you remember seeing you remember an intense moment of vertigo as you remember seeing what to you seemed gargantuan, and it was like a spider, but it had infinite legs. And then you remember seeing this moment of it looking down at you and trying to understand you, and then seeing something towering above the spider. And you remember it looking down, and you remember feeling the perception as a pressure and as a weight and as an absolute surety. And you remember it moving, and your brain says it stepped on the spider, but you also know that is an inapt metaphor. That is your own limited gray matter trying to create a handle for what happened. And you remember that whatever that towering thing was squashed the spider without a second thought, like it was a bug. And to the spider, you were a bug. And you are very aware that there are layers of metaphor and psychological contextualization to try to grapple with that. You can try to focus and delve deeper at any time. Just let me know.
That's all for now. And Horace kind of gets this faraway look in his eyes for a few seconds and then drifts back. Perhaps if you said the cave disappeared.
I will gesture to the professor.
We tried to go back to it and it wasn't there.
But do you recall its existence?
Yes.
I would like to look at her through the lens.
Which her? Lori or Lucretia?
Dr. Palmer.
She looks no different than the other surrounding environments.
Okay.
In that she's kind of the same subdued. I don't want to say it's like a grayscale or a sepia tone or anything like that, but it almost feels that way compared to the vibrant colors you can see through other things.
Like the
Gotcha.
color is just bled to bland.
Like desaturated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting. And it would seem... You have not experimented in your time with radio waves. Have you?
Not particularly.
Ah. Interesting. And... well, it would seem at least that the cave has not folded away.
Why do you presume that to be the case?
The reason we could recall the Black Rabbit, as well as the events surrounding it and the other folds, is that we are affected by it.
Ah.
An effect which shows through these lenses. If Dr. Palmer, who does not share our bizarre luminance, can still recall the cave, then it stands to reason that, at the very least, the same type of fold did not occur, or at least one that is a
Yes.
permanent fold.
Yes, that I can agree with. I'm not convinced it hasn't folded away, but perhaps whatever it was that Mr. von Cartwright was doing in his ham-handed manner is the reason that the loss of memory and time and such were occurring, whereas this place or creature or thing or being or whatever it is that was in that cave, well, it seems, according to your understanding, to be able to reach out and touch our existence as easily as breathing.
With more finesse than Edmund or Ernst could ever muster.
Quite right.
As a fish through water.
Yes.
The best one Cartwright could do was simply to dam the river. But this...
yes, or jump in and make a big belly flop, splashing water in every direction.
Indeed. I would like to look at my own hand. My own right hand.
You mean your wrong hand? Your very, very wrong
We'll see.
hand.
Oops, two left hands.
I would like to look... Oh, no! Would like to look specifically at my right hand through the lens.
Okay.
As he's kind of talking, like gesturing, and then like, huh?
Nothing.
There's nothing there.
There's no hand there.
Wait, can we see his hand?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're not looking through the lens.
If I trace down to the rest of my body, is that there?
Yes.
Does it look the same as it did pre-cave?
So you are near to two other people. So
Right.
it is doing the weird pull to infinity thing.
Which you never would have seen before, I don't think. I don't remember if you were there the moment that we did that.
I don't believe you did.
because that experiment happened in the library.
That's right.
Fantastic.
So that would be something new for you.
That would be. The question being, does it bring to mind the hole in reality that appeared when Edmund was subsumed by the worm? Does it remind me of that infinity? Is it qualitatively
It is not
similar?
dissimilar, but if you had to describe it, you would say it is how to put how your brain how Mr. Horace Young's brain would understand it. It is more. It is less discordant. It is what is Mr. Horace Young's, what are his hobbies like? What does he do?
His hobbies?
Yeah.
I believe he likes to read.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically in library. Like, he likes to experience libraries, going to new ones, which is easy in New York City. There are lots of them. And just picking up a book and spending hours in it. He makes not so much a hobby, but a habit of swimming to keep his constitution up. So swimming in a pond or a lake. Apart from that, not particularly active.
I can work with that. So, if the one you're looking at now, the weird infinity that pulls you all together, it is like the non-existent null space of water draining. So it has a stability to it. It has a pattern to it. Versus what Edmund dealt with was more akin to a typhoon of discordant syllables spoken by mouths that did not know what teeth or tongues were.
I see. Huh. Have you all seen this?
Seen what, Mr. Young?
The strangeness that drains from us.
I don't know
Formulates
if it
infinite.
drains.
Sorry?
I don't know if it. You said drains. I don't know if it so much drains as it could just as easily be going the opposite way. It could be feeding through.
Perhaps. It is beautiful. More elegant than the others I've seen.
What others have you seen?
In the final moments of my time in the Von Cartwright Manor, when Edmund was taken away by the worm, it tore open reality and made everything visible. everything as concept. All was as visible as all else.
The worm?
One of those dark and unexplainable moments that we all experienced, which I mentioned previously.
A creature which bled through from the result of one such fold, or perhaps many such folds. Pilot fish, some called them. It was...
I thought Olive said it ate him.
Well, ate is not the proper... It did not... The consumption of his flesh was not the primary issue. It took everything, it took his existence, distilled it down to a mathematical equation, and erased it. Piece by piece. His position, his size, every microscopic piece of him was made as if it never was. And in doing so, that meant that there was a gap. See, imagine everything. The air, our skin, our bodies, the ground, this building. Imagine it all as one substance. Or one type of substance. As the paint on the canvas is distinct and yet all of one. If some of that were to go away, it would create a hole. And what happened to von Cartwright created a hole. Some of that essential essence of everything was no longer there. As a result, he was not physically present. And the worm grew as a result. But to say that he was eaten is perhaps limiting.
And when we three or more gather together, you see this piercing of the veil?
No, not in quite the same way. This is stable. This is, to utilize your metaphor, if what von Cartwright did was a belly flop, and what happened to him as such, this is a whirlpool. Constantly changing, spinning, but in order. Natural, as it should be. Proceeding as with the course of nature.
Professor, if I may clarify, prior to the arrival of myself and my companions, am I correct in my understanding that there was no indication of any oddity whatsoever in the vicinity of that cave?
There's nothing particular. We did see, prior to your arrival, we saw hints and flickers of all sorts of things. But from everything I was looking at, it wasn't seen as anything more than noise. And then it started to, I guess, to continue what you've spoken of, to stabilize, I guess. We had the similar resonance from the north shore of Arkham, and that's where I recall. I think you said that your compatriots were, and that's when we noticed it was the same as the cave, and it became more distinct, more pronounced.
And that was after we gathered Mr. Young and Mr. Cole. When all 5 of us were gathered together.
That is when it became more distinct, yes.
Does my point seem obvious to you, Mr. Young? And Raymond, please feel free to speak up. I just think that perhaps we 5 are acting as some form of fulcrum or lever or
I think that it's similar. I think it's something like that, Professor. I think that the alterations that the 5 of us underwent previously with our experiences, they may not be keyed to directly or a cause for the development of the strangeness with the cave, but there is a resonance there that the 5 of us perhaps brought to the cave that got its attention, that woke it up, that perhaps this cave likes the energy produced in individuals who are half-folded. But all of this is something of somewhat academic if we don't wake Olive up. I think we need to take her and take Tommy back to the side of the cave, and incidentally the people that also I brought from New York, and try and get her to wake up.
If it
what are your
bothers you,
thoughts, Mr. Young?
well, if it bothers you that you retain this affect and you wish to divest yourself from it, we do maintain the capacity to do so. Do you not recall?
How do you mean?
We received the ability, or at least the knowledge, abstractly, to undo our half-folded state.
Oh, yes, it was a formula in that book, wasn't it?
Precisely.
That is a question for another time. I have a sense, and by all means I may be completely wrong, that we are having more of an effect on this phenomenon than simply providing the tantalization of its favorite meal. I believe that us being in close proximity is in some way organizing the threads of creation in such a way as to allow that thing to reach into our world.
Weakening the space between worlds.
Yes, quite.
Or perhaps strengthening it, if it is what it uses to swim.
Perhaps. By the same token, Mr. Fox, although I very much hope that you are able to revive Olive if she is not already awake and well in the hospital, she entered her state of catatonia in the depths of that place. And I believe that that thing took the part of her that makes her Olive and left behind her body. I believe she's still in that place, and without without entering it again, I don't believe we'll ever be able to bring her back into this world.
Then back into the cave we go.
Quite right.
Have you still the knife, Professor?
I do.
I don't want to see it.
I do.
I don't imagine so, Thomas. Raymond. Olive was changed as a result of her interaction with that knife. As were you.
As was Mr. Cole.
In quite a different way, however. Was he still altered by it when last you spoke?
Attracted to it, though the crisis of the moment seemed to be enough to break the addiction that he felt for its presence. And to clarify, I should say, in all of the chaos, I do not actually have the knife on my person. It is in Mr. Fox's automobile boot, wrapped in a towel or sheet of some sort.
My car is in town!
It is at the hospital. Mr. Cole drove it reasonably effectively.
How? I have the keys right here.
I couldn't say. All I know is I came out of the cave and ran to the vehicle, and not only was he there with the engine running, he apparently had time to take himself and Olive to the hospital, drop her off, and come back in search of us.
Oh. Well, I suppose that answers my question about how I'm going to caravan everybody out.
How many guests did you bring with you, Mr. Fox?
Well, Appleworth brings his own crowd with him whenever he comes out. I haven't actually managed to take a solid head count, but I imagine that if they all fit, it will be a bit of a tight squeeze.
Does the name Appleworth mean anything to me?
Roll me a...
Make a roll of credit rated. Be me.
That's what I was thinking was credit rating.
Well, because what I was thinking is, in going around to various rich people trying to get money for the things that I do, would I have encountered him, or at least the name?
Yeah, roll me a... I'm looking at the wrong character sheet, but roll me a credit rating or a... Ooh, I almost want... What would be a... Like a... We don't have a raw charisma in this.
Appearance is the analog.
Nah, because it's not quite right.
Power.
Roll me a credit rating or a hard fast talk or a hard charm.
Where are my fast talking charm? Not persuade?
I would allow a hard persuade.
Oh, and I can even set that roll options to hard. No.
You've heard of the name? Appleworths are... They're nouveau riche. They're a bit gaudy. But you were not... You had never managed to get within that particular front door.
Gotcha.
How much time has passed about since the train pulled into town?
Since they pulled in or since you dropped them off at the restaurant?
Since I dropped them off at the restaurant.
About 15.
Fantastic. I need to take a quick power nap in my apartment. My hotel suite. Do do you two want to go down and introduce yourselves to the other participants in the festivities tonight while I do that?
Do you wish for us to distract them?
Yes, please. If I'm not back in 2 hours, come break my door down, pretty please.
I suppose if I must.
Much obliged, thank you. And Raymond will...
At the very...
Oh, yes?
At the very least, Herbert, you and I can bore them to sleep. And that way, they will not be so eager for things to do.
Well, let's be about it then.
If we must.
I'm so sorry. What is the plan? What's happening then? You're talking about worms and disappearing cave and...
In the work of the higher planes, there is often little space for the plans of the mundane. We are in some aspects at its mercy to present ourselves and hope for the tides to shift in our favor. The plan, so far as I understand it, is to bring Olive to the place where the cave ought to be and attempt to shout into the void until Olive responds and provides entertainment for rich folk of New York City.
And you plan to get your friend out of a hospital?
We've done it before.
I don't believe they have any grounds to require her to stay if we insist on bringing her home to her family, which we cannot do if she is not combined body and soul.
That is the case. What do you know of her treatment? You said she was catatonic. Was she merely unresponsive? Was she under treatment?
She may as well have been dead, other than that she is breathing.
And so no active treatments on her behalf were being made?
Not that I'm aware of, although Thomas is there with her. Perhaps he would have more information. Do you have another suggestion?
I'm merely pondering what you said. Is there a reason you couldn't try to go get her soul, as it were, without grabbing the body?
Other than that, it seems as though when more of us are in close proximity, we may be a greater lodestone, a more powerful pull to this thing.
More of what of us are in the vicinity?
Wait, my point precisely.
Need her body be there, or is it a connection to our inner selves?
That is a fair point.
Without means of projecting ourselves outside of our bodies, we shall not know the answer unless we make this attempt.
But do we need Mr. Cole?
How many of you were gathered? 3, I suppose.
Yes. But if it works for 3, then there's it certainly makes sense that it will be more powerful with 4 or 5, does it not?
It does. Perhaps we could create more.
We are not making another fold, Mr. Young.
We know how to do so.
We are not making another fold, Mr. Young. No more belly flops into the ocean, thank you.
I hope you should believe my technique more delicate than that. I've been at work at this point longer than Edmund himself, no?
Nonetheless, as delicate as you are, you're not some porpoise splitting the waters and leaving not a drop behind.
And how many people have you known to return from worlds beyond our own unscathed?
200% more people than I see standing in front of me now.
Wouldn't it be 200% as many? Unless you know 3 people.
Yes. Mathematics is not my area of expertise.
Keeper for a second. He does know at least 3 people.
Hello.
Who have come back?
Hello.
Oh.
He was on stage somewhere.
That's true, and then there's
Well,
Mary.
he doesn't know that. But Mary hasn't come back yet.
But she did.
Did come back.
Oh, yeah.
Edmund?
Unscathed.
You're not
Edmund.
so special. You're not so special.
There's like 15 people who can make it back from a different
Mary.
dimension.
You? Tommy?
Raymond.
At least.
We gotta get you in the club, Professor.
I can do that. Just get me gray powder.
I can get you gray powder.
Powder is, but
Raymond, why is it that we must bring these companions of yours with us and put even more souls in danger?
Because I promised them I would.
Well, a man's
also-
word is important.
Also, say they were to be in grave, mortal danger, and that danger were to manifest, nothing of value would be lost.
Every soul is of value, Mr. Fox.
Professor, I don't want to get into a theological debate with you, but so we'll agree to disagree on that particular point with the comment from me that I decided to spend my professional time documenting the debauchery and misdeeds of this particular crowd, and frankly, if they don't live to inherit, I think that the world may be a better place in the long term.
But if they're so far gone as you claim, then they are all the more desperately in need of the opportunity to right their ships. And if we take that away from them by knowingly putting them in danger, what does that make us?
Knowingly putting them in danger or knowingly exposing them to something that could grant them the revelation of the good path. Scare them straight.
Perhaps if we put some precautions in place,
Certainly.
distance at the very least.
Yes. We won't tell them to go into the cave. We'll tell them not to. Should it come back?
Yes. All right, if you insist.
Fortunately, I must, Professor. My good standing in the society is dependent on
Among
producing some results.
the deeply debauched, your good
Yes.
standing among is important to you.
How else can we do what we need?
so to put on the keeper hat for a moment.
Yes.
The plan is to grab Tommy and Olive's body and drag them and the Appleworth crew up to where the cave was
To a lonely hill in the middle of nowhere.
and attempt which ritual?
Mine.
Contact Dreamer.
Yes.
Both simultaneously.
Both? We have at least 3.
Yeah. At least 3.
Okay, what's on the table?
So there's the resync ritual, which I don't know if we necessarily have as a spell.
I don't have it on my sheet.
We
as a spell.
have.
Right.
We at least have. We do have. We can fold somebody.
No.
I don't. It's. I'm not gonna
Last
do
resort.
it. I just want to
Last
say we do
No.
have the means, if we know their name, to fold somebody.
Oh Jesus.
But I don't think that's on the table. That's
And-
like on a. That's like in a fancy cabinet that you only open like on special occasions.
With
It's a
a
fire
lock
extinguisher.
on it.
It's in the china cabinet. Yeah, it's with the fine
It's in the
china.
gun cabinet with a lock on it.
So I think we
We have-
try.
We have detect fold. Really, the spell.
the
One
one
of
I
the
was
spells we
thinking
have
of.
is detect fold and contact dreamer. We also have the resync ritual, and I know the ritual to teleport between universes. I just don't have the materials.
You do need the previous stuff set up, which you don't know for sure if you can recreate all of it.
Right.
I
Okay,
think
and
the
then-
first.
So let me just take a quick jaunt back to the other universe, take some notes, hop back,
Okay.
give
Raymond.
several months
Yes,
at a
I think
time.
our first line of attack is casting Contact Dreamer. Because
Mhm.
knowing nothing of the spell other than its name, that's either Olive or the thing that has Olive. And then we go from there.
Okay.
If nothing happens as a result of that, we then try and detect fold. Maybe.
See, I would think we want to detect fold first.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Because I
is-
want to, if it works, I mean, if it does nothing, it does nothing. But if it works, we can find the best point.
Right, where it's thinnest.
Exactly.
And then do
potentially.
detect dreamer there. And maybe with the detect fold ritual and Professor Palmer's telescope, we can narrow it down even more.
Okay.
But like I said, if detect fold does nothing, it does nothing. And we
Sure.
just go to where the cave was, so that we're no worse off.
Right.
Whereas if we do detect dreamer in maybe the wrong place,
Contact
and things
dreamer.
don't.
Contact.
What did I say?
Detect.
Tact.
Yeah.
Very
Con-
different.
Very different.
Contact dreamer. Who knows? Maybe we have like caller ID. Contact
Maybe
dreamer.
they have caller
They
right.
have caller ID.
If we're lucky, they'll screen our call.
They're gonna star 6-7 us.
Yeah.
No, you.
We can. Then, who knows? Maybe we mess things up. Whereas if there's
I
less
mean,
risk with
let's
detect
be
fold.
real. We're messing things up.
If things are messed up.
But by definition, we are kind of messing things up. But hopefully, we can mess them up in the way that we want them to
We
go.
intend to mess them up, yes.
Awesome. So if that's the case, you're able to. Raymond Fox grabs a nap. Devin Alden Young have a very strange time with the Appleworth crew.
I would just want to spend that time using the biggest, most esoteric words possible to describe anything.
Okay, you keep getting.
So they are wildly confused.
Yeah, you keep getting maximum stoner questions back.
Yep.
So if you're
Yep,
like,
that's the goal. Just keep
if
them
you're saying
enthralled
stuff
by
of, like,
confusion.
who's to say what the difference between dreams and prophecy is? They're doing stuff of like, whoa, so maybe this has all happened before.
Which fits
Well,
in
as a matter of
perfectly.
fact, I should tell you.
How is this
Because
plan going off without, like, so well? I don't have a plan.
That Appleworth is. I'm not gonna say he's a genius. He is the least of a mess of the crew.
Yeah,
He is soberish and capable
Comparatively
of
genius.
thought.
he's smart by association.
In the land of the blind.
Yeah. You're also able to get Olive and Tommy out of the hospital and start hauling everyone and the equipment up to the hill. Are you bringing Lucretia and Lori? Lucretia wants to study the book instead.
Okay. Will she let us
Lori is
use her equipment?
torn.
That was going to be my
Will
question.
Lucretia allow us access to her equipment without her presence?
The telescope specifically.
Yes.
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 Then I would very strongly prefer not to bring either of them.
Okay. In that
But we
case,
were going to do the ritual to find Fold before heading to the hill in case that's not where it was.
We want to do that. My understanding was like just in the general area,
I
kind
see.
of hone.
Fair enough.
Because we don't
we're
know how
assuming
close,
it's
we don't know how
somewhere in that
close we need
area.
to be.
Okay.
Yeah, we know the general area. Supposedly, we do it there. We can hone in.
Okay.
cool. If that's the case, we're going to call it a little bit early this evening because we do need Olive and Tommy for those.
Fair.
And there's a number of things to come from that. So we will return next week with a number of rituals. We're probably going to start right with that detect fold ritual. I'm trying to take notes. My pen is cruding out.
Don't worry, you can watch the VOD tomorrow if you miss anything.
From there. So, thank you all for watching. It has been we're only 15 minutes early.
Thereabouts.
Thank you all so much for watching Wandering Souls. As always, we have had Kyle playing Dr. Raymond Fox.
Never with a plan, always got something to do.
Joel as Professor Herbert Devenald.
I'm very, very concerned.
Who, as you may recall, you can find running awesome Call of Cthulhu, awesome Dungeons and Dragons games with sound effects and the whole shebang at StartPlaying.Games/leonidas-games. Link is in the boldy boop. You can also find Drew playing Mr. Horace Young tomorrow night with Doors and Deities, 7:30 Eastern Time.
I won't be playing Horace Young tomorrow night.
I was
to be clear. Just to clarify,
Drew,
I will be playing everyone else.
Who plays Dr. Horace Young here?
There you go.
Will be serving as narrator and host. The person who sets up the tea party, as it were, for Doors and Deities tomorrow night. Kyle and I return on Saturday for Wish You Were Here at 7 Eastern Standard Time. Music and sound effects are, as always, by Syrinscape. Maps from Stygian Fox. Where did the name for the artist go? Who deleted this from my notes?
I'm not going to admit to anything.
I'd be impressed if you hacked my computer just to delete the lines. Art is, as always, by Peter Edgar, who you can find at The Dungeon Sketcher. That's The Dungeon Sketcher at patreon.com. As always, all the links from the ability book. We're going to see you next week, and we're probably going to have to hit the ground running, so be ready for that.
Awesome. Jazz hands.